Put simply, the coherence principle states that adding extra, unnecessary material to your lessons can hurt learning. As you may expect, the coherence principle fits into the mold of minimizing extraneous processing for learners. According to Clark and Mayer, the coherence principle is important because it is commonly violated, is straightforward to apply, and can have a strong impact on learning. They even go on to imply that the coherence principle may be their single most important recommendations for instructors. That is, keep your lesson uncluttered. Others have used a similar term, weeding, to describe this process of eliminating unnecessary material, such as Dr. Cynthia Bram from the Vanderbilt Center for Teaching, and researchers Mayer and Moreno in their 2003 study that found a positive impact on learning when words, graphics, and sounds that were not central to the instructional goals of a lesson were removed. The coherence principle is commonly violated in one of three ways: when either extraneous words, graphics, or sounds are added to a lesson. Drilling down further into these categories, Clark and Mayer share evidence that supports removing extraneous words that are added purely for interest, added to expand upon key ideas, or added for technical depth. Similarly, with regards to extraneous graphics, evidence supports removing graphics that are added purely for interest, and evidence that supports the use of simpler graphics depending on the content, process, or procedure you may be discussing with your students. Finally, extraneous sounds primarily involve the use of underlying audio or music that may detract from learning, particularly when learners are reviewing content that includes narrated animations. In sum total, extraneous words, graphics, and sounds can be distracting for learners and disrupt cognitive processing necessary to pay attention to, organize, and integrate the information you want learners to retain. For this reason, as stated at the beginning of their chapter on the coherence principle, the take-home points is to keep your lessons uncluttered. By and large, there is strong evidence to support the coherence principle. You want to eliminate unnecessary words, graphics, and sounds from your lesson, but that does not mean your lesson needs to be uninteresting. Evidence exists that shows that students learn better when they're interested in the material being discussed. Where the challenge arises is in finding ways to stimulate interest without adding unnecessary material that detracts from the main objectives of your lesson. In our penultimate video for this series, we'll explore the personalization and embodiment principles which aim to foster generative processing among your learners. Until next time.